Indeed, we are rocking along here on the Three Dog Thursday podcast. And full disclosure, I don't get to talk to this man enough anymore, so I have to bother him around draft time. I love my Buccaneer former player and former analyst from another mother, one Antony Becht, the former number one draft pick. And we will get to this story of the New York Jets in 2000. It cannot be that long ago. But I love Antony Becht hanging with me. If you're only hearing us on the audio version of the podcast, come find us on the Three Dog Thursday YouTube roundtable while we talk draft. AB, you're rocking the Bucks hat. I've got the Super Bowl hat over my shoulder on the YouTube show. You're looking good. How are you feeling as we're approaching draft time here soon?
Feeling great. Yeah, great to be back on, TJ. Obviously, this is a fun time of year for, for the Bucks, for all the teams. I mean, I think fans' perspective as well. I mean, this is a year-round thing now. There's no off time for fans, which is great for the brand, right? So the NFL is definitely happy about that. So, a lot of great storylines, a lot of things to talk about. Obviously, what's going on, but listen, I'm excited about it. The draft has been something since I retired. I've gotten more into and enjoyed more. And listen, some new dreams and some new smiles and tears will be brought to a lot of players' faces coming out of college, and it's a great time for these kids, and they get an opportunity, take that step and kind of set their foundation of who they're going to be or who they're not going to be in the NFL.
Always love a great insight from people that have been there, have lived it as you did, and have played at the highest level, 12 years in the NFL, not only with the Jets, but with the Chiefs and the Buccaneers. So I have great respect for that. I have great respect for like the hat game framed up in the shot of the Beck jersey with the name and the 88. I don't know if you did that decorating or if Deanne, your wife, did that decorating, or if Olivia, your daughter, somebody had some skills with the decorating in the office. And that is very well done. Very strong on the frame up of the shot game that you have going there, my friend.
Well, it's normally a mirror behind me, which is prefer my wife wants. So I end up taking that down and replacing it with my jersey. So, she actually looks forward to these things being over so she can have her piece of, her piece of the office back. But yeah, it's like we talked about, you gotta make it look good. And that's what we got. So yeah, there it is.
You
Jersey,
rock
hat,
it.
balls,
You
all that
rock
stuff.
it on all fronts. All right, so let's get to it. The draft is coming up. I'm curious from your standpoint. It looks as though we're going to have four quarterbacks potentially taken right in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4. That
Right.
has never happened before. It's almost an assurity that, I mean, Jacksonville is obviously taking Lawrence at 1. The Jets at 2 look like they're dead set on taking a quarterback after trading Sam Darnold. San Francisco didn't trade up with Miami to take another position, did they, Anthony Beck? Stop me
Right.
here. They're taking a quarterback. So the only question is whether Atlanta will take a quarterback with Matt Ryan there or someone else will trade in. Are we really about to see 4 straight quarterbacks taken to begin this draft and set a record? What is your opinion, sir?
I mean, it's very possible. I mean, those teams are in dire need of it. And you mentioned all of them make a strong case for, at least the first two that they need them right now. So I would say you're right. I think we're going to see those quarterbacks come off the board pretty early. And if they don't, somebody may squeeze up and, maybe the Patriots or somebody else try to get another quarterback, within another one added in the first 10 picks. So, is it warranted? Yeah. Do we overdraft some of these guys sometimes? But when you have a need and there's some guys that have some production, like the guys coming out this year, look, the clock starts over in contracts and they can build some things and hopefully figure it out. Because I think between me and you, when we watch these guys go early, more than likely it's a fail, right? Because organizations don't understand how to build and continue to put pieces around those guys and make it right. So hopefully, some of these teams, it works out for them. In particular, one that I cheer for is the Jets, who, like you said, more than likely are taking Zach Wilson at number 2, which everyone seems to be talking about. So got to find a way to get it done and get it right with those kind of quarterback picks.
And we should make mention, too, that AB is a busy man. He'll be up in and around all of the Jets coverage through their social media, through their website of the draft, leading up to the draft, the Thursday night opening round, again, a 3-night event on Thursday, Friday, and actually an all-day and night event on Saturday for the draft. So Anthony will be on all of the Jets platforms, the Jets, Jets. All right. I mean, it's past tense now. Did it surprise you that they parted with Sam Darnold? It's easy to say now, no, it didn't surprise you, but maybe it did with a new coaching staff coming in. If they didn't give him one more year, to try it before having to make a decision on the fifth-year option? Maybe it didn't surprise you. What about them moving on from Darnold and apparently ready to take a new rookie quarterback?
I was good with it either way. I felt like there was an opportunity there to, supply him with the proper needs through draft and free agency, to give him a better feel and pieces around him to be successful. I also understand that, listen, you bring in a young quarterback, add some more pieces similar to him with a new system, because everybody's in the same boat now. Even Sam, if he were to stay, that you can build around that quarterback. Unfortunately, you're going to have to go through some growing pains. But I think if we looked at the last couple of years with the success of guys like Burrow and Justin Herbert, if you get the right guy and do some things properly, you can have early success. So, for me, the one thing that I can see from the Jets' perspective with Sam is that, you know what? As good as it may sound, to put pieces around him and even build more and put a new system where he could be better, there are some internal things that may not change, right? So there are some bad habits, some things that he's acquired, in particular too, around the New York market, the fan base, feeling those internal pressures. Is he good enough to just mentally forget about it, move on, and just get right? And I think that's hard for some guys. And I think that's part of the process, to saying, you know what, we bring a young guy in, clean slate. Okay. He doesn't have those things in his mind right now. Put the best pieces around him and let's see him fly with him. And then of course, restart the clock and get them cheap and, just say, okay, build a running game, get a solid defense, and maybe we can win more games. So I think Sam can be successful. Other play, Carolina is an opportunity for him. But I also am enticed a little bit about Joe Douglas putting his footprint onto this team, who's the general manager of the Jets, with a new quarterback and the new pieces around him.
If you're only hearing us, that's the voice of Antony Becht. I love his insight, the former NFL player, now analyst, did a lot of work with ESPN, with college football, worked with Antony for a lot of years on Buccaneers radio. He's associated obviously closely with the New York Jets, their preseason coverage, et cetera. He'll be part of their draft coverage. Come find the YouTube show as I keep plugging away, because I'm sharing the video as we speak on the screen. I am very intrigued by this guy, one Devontae Smith, the wide receiver out of Alabama. And we are looking at some of Devontae Smith's highlights here as it unfolds on the YouTube video of him. And, again, I may be considered a little slanted here because I worked three of the guys' games this year for Alabama in the regular season, including the Georgia game that we'll see a spectacular catch in, this game, the Iron Bowl that we're watching the video of, the catch and run against Auburn. To me, this guy is a top 5 talent, especially when you see Antony Becht toe tap touchdowns in the back of the end zone, followed by explosive catch and run, followed by run past people over the top. To me, there are some teams that are going to make a mistake passing on this guy. Tell me more about Devontae Smith, and maybe should some teams in the top 5 be more interested in this guy than they actually are?
Yeah, instant game changer. I think people talk about, the knock is the size. And I would say this, going against SEC defensive backs week in and week out, I think they've all tried to put their hands on him and do some things physically to shut him down. And arguably enough, he's had some, most productive season at any receiver in Alabama. We've seen, we know those names, who they are. And I think that will translate well in the NFL. What he gives up in size, he truly beats you with speed, quickness, ability to get off the line of scrimmage, and make you miss and make his body untouchable in a sense. And those are the factors I think you bring to the table with him. And also, I'm not going to doubt this kid one bit. He's been doubted pretty much early on in his career, and what he may be doubted on, I know he can make up for it from his technique and his knowledge and the way he plays the game. So there's no question he's going to help a team. The question is, how do you figure, like, okay, there's always need-based, there's best available, and then there's just guys that fall into that, okay, he's available. What do we do? He's the best player available on who we have rated on our board. I think he's, if you pass on him, whoever gets him, he's going to be outstanding. There, Jamar Chase is obviously a guy that's very similar, a little bigger, and I think some people are starting maybe, lean towards him a little bit. But man, it'd be hard to pass up Smith if you need a game changer at receiver.
I'm sorry, I didn't go to LSU. I didn't go to Alabama. Jamar Chase ain't better than Devontae Smith.
There you go.
Not even close on that. In terms of big play after huge play after big play after big play throughout his career. And the one thing I keep coming back to that the Alabama coaching staff talked about, Steve Sarkisian the last couple of years, attention to detail, the route running, how much better he got at it. That translates into the NFL. And sure, I know there are receivers that get taken in the first round or in the top 15 or even the top 10 that don't pan out, but there are a great number of them that have been huge impacts. Calvin Johnson bigger, Julio Jones bigger, Mike Evans bigger, but there are plenty of guys that have made tremendous impact that are at a smaller size, that have speed, etc. I just think it would be, my opinion again, it would be a mistake for teams that aren't dead set on the quarterback to pass this guy over or take another receiver, Antony Becht, instead of him. I'm going on the record one more time. Use it all you want, every which direction. Whoever is taking a receiver in front of Devontae Smith will regret it. There it is. I'm saying it out there.
Yeah, I mean, people say he's not even the best receiver in his own team, which is hard to believe as well. But look, the kid's humble, production, like all the things you just talked about. I mean, what other box does he have to check in the situation? So you're right. I think they'll pay if they pass him up.
All right, we will see what happens with him. And again, Alabama could have 3 or 4 guys go in the top 10 or the top 15 with Mac Jones, the quarterback. You made reference to Jalen Waddle off the injury, who's explosive, but there's still questions as to how much he's recovered from the injury, how good can he be post-injury. And then Patrick Surtain, the son of the former player. You played against Patrick Surtain, the dad. This is Patrick Surtain the second, his son, the former Miami Dolphin. Where is he going to end up? So Alabama always has just a roll call of players in the first and the second round of the draft. Speaking of the first and the second round of the draft, we have waited far too long to bring this up. In April of 2000, my man Antony Becht, there he is, was part of NFL draft history. Look at the babyface Antony Becht on the left, if you're with us on the YouTube roundtable wearing the 88. You were part of NFL draft history, as you know, but I'm illuminating it to the audience. The first time ever that a team picked 4, count them, 4 players in the opening round of the draft. It was Chad Pennington, Sean Ellis, John Abraham, and one Antony Becht, tight end out of West Virginia. What does that mean to you 21 years later, that you're still part of NFL history, the first time that ever happened?
It's unbelievable, and I'm proud of it. I mean, and to think that, Parcells hit on every one of those guys. And I think that the thing that is even more glaring is he hit on a 5th guy. Lavernius Coles was in that draft as well for us. We had all 5 of those guys play over 60 plus years in the NFL combined. I mean, say what you want. You can compare that to whatever draft class across the league, anything like that. You hit on 5 guys just like that. And I know we went to different places, but we all, were important pieces at those other places as well. So I'll put that class up against anybody. I know there's been a couple with 3 and 2. One guy went to the Hall of Fame, maybe a couple Pro Bowlers, but man, Abraham's got a bunch of Pro Bowls, and Chad led for a very long time as well. And Lavernius, just key contributors for football teams, and just an amazing group of guys. And every one of those guys, we're still close and tight, and they're doing great things. So just an unbelievable time to be a part of that. And listen, I was the 4th of those 4, and I was the one getting thrown into the fire early because I had to play now. Chad was given, an opportunity after Vinny and Abraham and Ellis worked their way in situationally. But man, I was just like, the pressure was on for me, and I was just like, man, this is crazy. So definitely some great memories.
All right, so I want you to tell the draft story here for the audience, not only that are hearing us, but are also seeing us, because it's a great one. Again, that draft was a Saturday afternoon start for the first round. It was not the prime time that it has been now for the last decade or so. And they took forever, 15 minutes a pick, long day. The Jets have multiple picks. They're making picks. You're on the phone with multiple teams. Pick up the story on what happened, because this is a tremendous story, and I love you telling it every time I get the chance to introduce it to a different audience. Go.
Well, Bill Parcells had told me on my visit to the Jets that, he was taking a tight end, they're taking me. He was pretty open about it. And he was probably like, after we get our first 2 players done, which are going to be defensive guys, we're going to take the tight end. So in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm going to go 17. Well, it just so happened that Chad had slipped through a couple of the teams. He was supposed to go to the 49ers. He was supposed to go to the Steelers. And all of a sudden he falls into their lap. And you got a Vinny Testaverde who's 30, whatever. So they end up taking him at 17. So now here comes 27, all the way to the 27th pick, the last one for the Jets. Clearly, this is it. Everybody in my party, which is 60 plus people, we got a tent, we got couches outside, we got a big screen TV, one of the big ones, the old school ones we rolled in, and I had a phone. It was a phone that was wired all the way to a screened area inside of our house, and we put it on a table like a bat phone. So the process is you get a call, everybody's happy, smiling. Here comes the commissioner, makes the pick, and there you celebrate with your family and friends. So here we are, pick 26 goes, and everything's great. And I'm thinking, okay, get near the phone a little bit, get myself situated on the couch. The clock starts ticking, 5 minutes down to 10 minutes down to 5, no call, nothing's going on. I can hear whispers of folks in my close friends like, oh man, I thought he's going to the Jets here. Where's his call? How come the phone's not ringing? And I'm thinking to myself, damn, these guys are right. What the hell's going on? The phone's not ringing. I'm like, clock goes down to 0. Here comes Paul Tagliabue up to the stand. And I'm thinking, and I'm just like, I went from high to an ultimate, like almost depressed at that point, sitting like, oh my gosh, I'm not getting picked here. And now I'm scrambling. As he's walking to the podium, I'm thinking to myself, looking at the draft picks, I'm like, well, I didn't talk to this team at 28, 29, 30. Then there's like 30. Then the second round, I'm thinking, man, who did I talk to here? I don't even know. He goes up to the stage. I'm sitting there. Everybody's just kind of like down at that point. And he says, hey, with the 27th pick, the New York Jets select tight end Antony Becht out of West Virginia. And it was the most uniform eruption of 65 people at once you could ever have with me celebrating that moment. Shocked, no call, no nothing. I didn't know anything about it. I hadn't talked to anybody. My phone didn't ring the whole day up to that point. And immediately when my name was called, as they're still talking about me on the screen, pick up the phone. My agent's on there with Parcells and Al Groh. And he's like, what'd you think of that? I was like, it was awesome. But I'll be honest with you, I just basically had a heart attack thinking, where the heck am I getting drafted? And, lo and behold, they kind of did that. And I don't recall, TJ, again, we see all the first round guys now, whether it's a camera in their house or wherever that may be, always get a call on their cell phone. We didn't have cell phones. That it was just starting to crank up by then, but they're always getting a call. Everybody's hugging and kissing, knows what's going on. And then bam, the pick comes up. I do not recall another guy having that experience. Help me out if you know, but man, that was unbelievable in the moment to share that with family and friends in that time when I got my name called. So that's a memory that will always stick to me, and a story that continues to, light fires every time we get around draft time.
I love that story. I don't just like that story. I love that story every year around draft time, where the first phone call you got. And again, this was not a 2 or 3 hour process.
Oh, no,
By the time they got to the end of the first round in those days, it was usually 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 5 hours, 6 hours into the end of the first round. A long wait, right? Not exaggerating, a long wait to not get a phone call.
Weenie wraps, Chiefs puffs, tortilla dip, all that stuff was down to the bear scraps. You couldn't get a full chip to dip into the salsa. Everything was pretty much gone, right? It was timed up perfectly, and everybody had some beverages in their system at that point. And it was a pretty somber moment there for quite a bit. But man, what a way to go out! I just one of the few memories that's very vivid in my mind when it happened, and we partied hard that night, and we enjoyed it. So it was pretty cool.
Rightfully so. All right, we got to get out of here, and this man does as well. Let me promote here for the audience that you can find Antony Becht always on social media. He's a great follow for his insight. Find him at Anthony_Becht, Becht. If you're not seeing us and you're only hearing us, Anthony_Becht for his work with the Jets, with ESPN, in and around the draft, et cetera, et cetera. Also, you have your football camp that is upcoming as well. And I want to make mention of that because there are listeners, viewers that may be in the Tampa Bay area where you and I live, but also up in Pennsylvania. I believe you're doing dual purpose. Plug away on the football camp, because here's the flyer for the first version of it coming in June, but plug away, Anthony.
Yes, so this is our 15th anniversary of having my football camp. Started in Philadelphia. We made it here in 2006 as an additional spot just because I made my home here. And, we didn't have the camp last year. So we had to cancel because of the pandemic. And I'm telling you, man, we're really excited about bringing it back. As you can see there, those dates are for the Tampa camp, which is at Wiregrass Ranch High School in Wesley Chapel, June 7th through the 9th, which is a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And it's an all-day camp, morning to afternoon, kids in grades 1st through 8th grade for next year's school year. And we basically teach them all the different positions in a fun way. The coaches at Wiregrass help. These high school players help as well, because it's a way for them to give back to the younger generation as well. And then we have former and current Buccaneers that come out and work with the kids. On the other end, we have another camp in Philly, my high school, Monsignor Bonner High School in Philadelphia, June the 28th, 9th, and 30th, which is, again, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And that camp actually is pretty much sold out. And then the Tampa camp, again, every day we get some new campers flowing in. We have great sponsors. Drop your kid off. We take care of everything. And, really looking forward to bringing the camp back and working with the kids for a couple of days this summer.
And so much was missed a year ago across the board in everything, in life, in sports, and whatever. So I know you guys are eager because you want to teach the kids and have a blast with the kids. And one more plug, they can go to anthonybechtfootballcamp.com.
Yes.
It's one long thing, anthonybechtfootballcamp.com, to find out more about the one in Tampa Bay, more about the one in Pennsylvania. If you want to help out, sponsor, whatever, look into it on that. All right, one more before you go. I am as thrilled about anything that I've ever said or done with you to talk about this as we share the screen on the YouTube roundtable. Anthony's son, Rocco, is a starting quarterback at Wiregrass Ranch High School in the Tampa Bay area, and your son is already committed and ready to go at Iowa State. Now, we could spend a few minutes trying to counsel you and him. Does he really want to be in Ames, Iowa in late October and November versus Florida in the South? But that's okay. He's going to go be an Iowa State Cyclone. And on the YouTube roundtable, come find us if you're not seeing us. Here is young Rocco Becht, a senior to be in action, firing off passes. And obviously, he got that arm from Deanne, your wife. You've never thrown a ball like that in your life. So he got his skills from his mom. But there is Rocco Becht. I am thrilled for the Bechts and thrilled for Rocco. I know this is as neat as anything you've been involved with in your life in football, young man.
Well, one, we're really proud. I think that, most importantly for Rocco, with kids that have dads or moms that play professional sports, there's sometimes those pressures of living up to something. And the one thing we've never done is pushed Rocco in the sense that, look, this is your life. What do you want to do? You want to play baseball, basketball, football? And, football took to him. He loved it. And then once he figured out, like, you know what, I'm actually decent at this. He, look, how can I get better at that? What do I need to do? And basically gave him the roadmap that I didn't have when I was younger to help him get there. But he had to do it, right? That's the biggest thing. And, it's been a phenomenal journey for him. I'm super excited about it. He had a lot of other opportunities and schools that were interested. And I think the one thing I'm most proud of, TJ, is that, the fact that he's worked and trained and done all these little things to get where he is today. We had a conversation actually yesterday, and, he told me about this. I knew where he was at, but what he's like, he's going to graduate early from high school, enroll early. So he's got a semester and a half left of high school. He has a 4.0 unweighted right now. And just to me, it's not to brag. It's just like, man, like I couldn't do that. So to be able to have that balance as a student athlete and, teachers complimenting on him as the student part, I feel like, for me and Deanne, that's kind of the most, special part about this whole thing is that, he understood both sides. And that's the thing you try to press upon your kid and know that. So that just spoke volumes about it. And listen, his journey just continuing. So I'm looking forward to following it and being a part of it from the outside and seeing how he does.
You got to come see the grin on Anthony Becht's face, ear to ear as it should be. And you never had the 4.0, I don't think. That's got to be
no. I was a good student. A's and B's.
I understand that.
Yeah, A's and B's, but man, I was, 4.0. Like I was like, what do you mean a 4.0? How's that even possible? And he pulled it off, man. So,
That's great.
Congrats. It's awesome.
And we are so excited for him getting the opportunity and looking forward to that. I'm so excited for you being part of the Jets draft coverage. It will not be dull, brother. It never is.
Yeah.
And it looks like the Jets are about to take Zach Wilson as the BYU quarterback at the top of the draft, but we never know. We never know with what happens with the draft. Listen, what a treat for me to have you here as part of the Three Dog Thursday podcast, the YouTube video roundtable. Continued success. You know this. I say this publicly. I have much affection for you, your work. Any way I can help you, I will. I always am appreciative that whenever I put the bat signal up to get some help, that you're willing to come on, talk draft with me, talk NFL with me. Continued success and great to see you. Thank you for hanging here. Enjoy the draft, Antony Becht.
I appreciate it. It's always good to come on the podcast. Love what you guys are doing and love listening. So thanks for having me on.
Indeed, we do continue here on Three Dog Thursday, and the YouTube video roundtable continues on as well. As I like to say, make sure that you're able to hear us not only on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, but see us on the YouTube roundtable, including my next guest, longtime NFL writer and voice, many different outlets, National Football League, insider pundit, Pro Football Hall of Fame voter, and also author of a new Elway book, a John Elway book that came out last fall, A Relentless Life, about the former #1 pick of the Denver Broncos. He is Jason Cole, back with me on the program. I know we're getting to important stuff in the football when Jason Cole returns my call. Good to have you, my friend, here on the show again.
Great to be here, as always. Thank you.
So this is always a fun time because everybody's undefeated in the offseason.
Yep.
Everybody believes that they're going to get it done. So here we go with all the teams trying to figure out who's that guy that's going to help us get over the top. How enthused are you for the draft 2021 as it approaches, Jason?
Look, I think this one's way more interesting because you have quarterbacks. You know, you have a lot of quarterbacks in this draft. You have probably 5 in the first round, maybe 6, depending. Davis Mills, depending on, what do people do with Kyle Trask. I don't think Kyle Trask is a first rounder. I think he's more like a late second, third round guy. But there's a lot of quarterbacks to sort through in this draft. And quarterbacks drive everything in football. We know that. And it's driven this entire offseason. You know what quarterbacks do in Tampa. What one particular quarterback has done in Tampa over the past year. So you can change the complete trajectory of your franchise if you get that right.
No doubt. And as we have been talking about, to say it's quarterbacks dominating and top heavy, we don't know as we approach next Thursday night, we may be about to watch 4 of them in a row come off the board in the first 4 picks. That's not to say that Atlanta would be the 4th one to take a quarterback. Maybe they will, maybe they won't because they have Matt Ryan. But it looks pretty much like Jacksonville, the Jets, and the 49ers will. And if somebody trades with Atlanta, hypothetically, and takes a 4th one, that's never happened before. Talk about quarterback top heavy if that's the case. All right, so you're a great one to talk about this. Again, you've covered the game, honestly, going back 4 decades plus now. And as I share the screen here for the YouTube audience, and you're in North Florida, full disclosure here, I'm in the Tampa Bay area. You're in North Florida. The buzz is everywhere for this guy, Trevor Lawrence, the Clemson quarterback. Everybody believes a foregone conclusion, as we see on the YouTube video. That's Urban Meyer, oh, by the way, in the background is the new coach. So it looks like Trevor Lawrence will be the newest #1 overall pick that is a quarterback, joining the recent likes of Baker Mayfield. You made reference to my relationship with the Buccaneers, joining the recent likes of Jameis Winston, but also he will go into the annals with the names like Andrew Luck recently or Cam Newton, and then go back to Peyton Manning, Troy Aikman, and even John Elway. What do you make here of Trevor Lawrence, the Jacksonville marriage? Because that looks like it is going to happen.
Look, we've known for 2 years this kid was going to be the #1 overall pick. It just was a matter of which team was going to line up and get him. He's the most complete-looking player at this position since probably Peyton Manning. There are very few defects, depending on who you like to think about. I mean, Peyton Manning or Andrew Luck, to me, when I watch him play, he resembles Joe Namath to me. Not that I was, I was just a little kid when Namath was playing at Alabama. But if you watch highlights of Namath from Alabama, you see a lot of the same movements, the arm strength, the ability to run. Namath could run before he had the knee injury, all those things. So this is a really, truly exciting player. I mean, he's as close to a finished product as you're going to get. And I think they have an opportunity to turn this franchise around within probably 2 years if everything goes right. Now, I still have questions about Urban and whether he's going to be able to handle the NFL game. That's a separate issue. I think they have the right player. They definitely have the right guy. And this is a no-brainer. And you invest in this position, you have to. As part of the Elway book, I looked back at, when Elway was picked number one over in 1983, it really changed how people looked at that position because the game itself was changing and, the amount of emphasis on it. And so ever since then, I think it's like close to 50% of the number one overall picks are quarterbacks. And if you get it right, if you get a Troy Aikman, you can win multiple championships. If you get a Peyton Manning, who won 2 himself, right? You get John Elway, he won 2 Super Bowls. You get Eli Manning, you get 2. You can win two Super Bowls. You can win multiple Super Bowls. And here's my last point in this: if you take all of the other positions drafted at number 1, in the history of the NFL, since they went to the common draft in 1970, right? There's only one player who's a non-quarterback who won multiple Super Bowls, okay? And that was Russell Maryland. And the reason he won multiple Super Bowls is he played with Troy Aikman. So you invest in quarterbacks and take the shot. I know everybody's like, oh, what happens if it goes wrong? Well, then you go back to the drawing board. But if you get it right, it can be an amazing thing.
Well, and you look just in the short term, and this, and I'm saying it for the audience, Baker Mayfield has obviously energized the Cleveland Browns as the number 1 overall pick. Certainly the Buccaneers in Jameis Winston's second season were on the cusp of being a playoff team, got into playoff position, didn't make it, and then obviously Jameis regressed with interceptions. We understand that. The Colts were immediately better with Andrew Luck and a playoff team and winning teams. The Panthers became immediately better with Cam Newton, eventually a Super Bowl team. So we're listing point after point where you can get it right and you can be quickly better. And that's what Jacksonville is hoping. But I think you and I both know they need a lot more than just him. The late Gale Sayers, and you love when I reference Hall of Famers, he told me a line 25 years ago that I've used ever since. He said about the then struggling Chicago Bears, we are 3 or 4 players away from being 3 or 4 players away. That's kind of Jacksonville at this point, at 3 or 4 away from being 3 or 4 away.
And let me say this about what Gale experienced. No team in the history of the NFL has struggled more to find a quarterback than the Chicago Bears. Like, they haven't had a great one since Sid Luckman.
Right.
Okay. And nobody in your audience probably knows. When I say Sid Luckman, I'll bet nobody knows what I'm talking about, unless it's some 80-year-old guy down in Sarasota who, yeah, I remember Sid. He was great. Like that.
Are you saying that Bob Avellini and Eric Kramer and
Sid
Jim Miller,
Luckman?
It's
and even it starts and ends at Sid Luckman.
I understand.
And let me just say this. I once met Sid Luckman at his apartment or his condo in North Miami Beach and interviewed him. And so I have been there with the only truly great Bears quarterback. I know George Blanda made the Hall of Fame. That's a whole different deal. He wasn't a really great quarterback.
Again, the authority on all, including Sid Luckman. I love it. We bow to you on that. Jim McMahon, by the way, when you look at his career numbers, it was the Bears defense, it was Walter Payton, and it was Jim McMahon kind of being game manager.
McMahon had chutzpah. He had,
yes, but
he had
the
something
passing numbers, the number of interceptions.
But they're not a pass. They never have been a passing team. They've never established that. They've tried, and it's a train wreck. They just never have gotten that guy for whatever reason. But that's again, we're going on 75 years since Luckman left football.
Couple more fun ones. Right. Love it. With Jason Cole. Again, if you're only hearing us on the 3 Dog Thursday podcast, come find the YouTube roundtable. You'll see Jason. You follow him at Jason Cole 62. I love his insight on the NFL, on all things. I want to get a couple more opinions from you. One of those, how much credit, go back 52 weeks basically for the upcoming draft. How much credit should we give this guy right here who's maligned for an awful lot, Roger Goodell? And we have the shot on the YouTube roundtable of him by the middle of night one. He was lounging in the Barca Lounger in the basement.
Yeah.
We got to give the NFL a lot of accolades because they pushed through last year with, we're going to hold our timeline. We're going to hold our draft. We're going to hold to our season schedule. We're going to play our full season. We're going to play our full playoffs. And it worked when there was so much screaming this time a year ago, you can't do this. You can't do this. You can't do this. I think they deserve a lot of credit. And it was fun TV when we didn't have a lot else to go on to watch him in the basement calling the picks a year ago. I'm going to kind of miss the basement this go around for Roger Goodell.
You can't. I don't think you can do the draft that way every single time. It was good. It was fun. It was different. The weird people in the background, Mike Vrabel's house, whatever that was. I still haven't figured that out. Belichick's dog is just a classic. Yep. I mean, there were just so many things that were really fun about that draft, but they're not going to continue to do that, right? I think that Roger Goodell has done an absolutely phenomenal job of getting through the past year. Now, he did have the benefit of some run up before they started the season so they could figure some things out. But if you look at baseball and Rob Manfred, we're a second season into this and they still got problems, right? We're not huge problems, but some problems where they're missing a game or two and not full schedule playing. This is their second time around, and they had the problem of being the first ones in the basket, basically. NBA too, but they were the first ones to restart. It's hard. It's really hard to do this. So yeah, Roger Goodell. Tip your cap to Roger Goodell and the NFL and the NFL Players Association. I think the players took this very seriously. I think there was only one time the entire year that the players were not on top of their game, and that was Denver the week that they had, that they couldn't have a quarterback, right? And I think everybody learned a lesson from that, which is the league's not making any exceptions for people, right? And so, sorry, Broncos, you struggled through an ugly game. That's your fault, because your guys were not paying attention. And that sent a message to the entire league about, no, the league is serious. They mean business about getting this season in.
Well, and to further that point is so much, again, people love to revise history, but so much of the criticism was you're not going to be able to do this without a bubble. You're not going to be able to play safely without a bubble. And what they did is they basically put the personal responsibility on the players, on the staffs, the coaches, the medical staffs of you've got to take care of this or else there are going to be ramifications on who can't play when we're trying to play games. And that's exactly what you were saying. And yes, there were delays, but yes, they played every single game, even though they had to juggle some schedule timelines from a weekend to a weeknight. They played every single game and got all the way through the regular season. And that's remarkable for what the NFL was able to do. All right, a few moments left. Intriguing, fun one. Is there a name, could be a quarterback or another position, that you're very interested in for the opening night of the draft? And if so, who is that name on not just what team does he end up with, but where does he end up? Is there a name that Jason Cole is watching for this 2021 NFL draft on the opening night?
I think it's the Heisman Trophy winner, isn't it? Devontae Smith. Like, you kind of look at it and go, where's this kid going to end up? And who's going to take that chance? Because he's an electric player. He outruns angles and tacklers. He's truly, truly amazing. He's also skinny as a rail. And I would have a hard time taking this kid in the top 10. If I was a general manager sitting there and this guy's maybe 175 pounds soaking wet, I don't know. I don't know if I can do it because I don't think he has the frame to put on weight. He can destroy a defense.
Yep.
And he might be the highest impact player in the whole thing. But I don't know if he can last, right? That's my big question about him.
Well, we're looking at highlights on the YouTube roundtable right now. You're seeing them. The YouTube audience is seeing them. Amazing route runner, amazing footwork in the back of the end zone. I was here on the call on national radio for that play against Georgia in the back of the end zone. I turned to my broadcast partner, Tiki Barber, and said, my friend, that had 3 letters on it, NFL. And we're looking at another catch right now on the YouTube roundtable in the national championship game against Ohio State, where he, again, toe taps like the NFL. He's got speed. You've got a legitimate question about size and durability. But I am with you. We did not rehearse this. You can verify that for the audience that we did not rehearse this.
We did not.
But in the segment before you, I was saying to Anthony Becht, he better be the first receiver taken. And if he's not, it's a mistake. It's a mistake.
No, I
don't
agree.
You're going to argue with me about that?
I'll argue with about. I'd take the Chase kid out of LSU. I take his teammate Jalen Waddle before I would take him.
I still have questions about how healthy Waddle is, and if that injury isn't going to affect him forever.
The medicals are what they are, right?
Right.
But I can't take a kid who's that skinny.
I understand.
I can't. I just can't. I want the guy who looks like Julio Jones if I'm up there. I know that, and I know he's a great football player, but I don't want to take him at 5. I don't want to take him at 6. I don't want to take him at 8. I want to take him at 13, 12, 18, something like that. Because I just don't know that I'm going to get 6, 7, 8 years out of him. I just don't know that that's going to happen. I think he's just going to wear down. Like, to me, this is loaded with stud offensive players. The quarterbacks, are obvious, right? You may have 4 that go right out of the chute, and then you still got Trey Lance sitting there, and then we're talking, Davis Mills, all that other stuff. But you got Pitts, who's just an amazing player out of Florida. You've got Penei Sewell, who's just looks like Anthony Munoz, the second coming of Anthony Munoz, or like Jonathan Ogden, and you just sit there and go, I can take that guy, and he's my guy for 12 years. We talked about Chase. Najee Harris is going to go late first round. Like, this is a star-studded offensive draft.
Sure.
It's a fantastic offensive draft.
And I will say to you, we'll have fun with this for years to come. Devontae Smith will be in the Pro Bowl before Jamar Chase. He'll be in multiple Pro Bowls.
Well, that's because he's not going to play for Cincinnati. Okay,
that's true too.
You're making like what kind of tout are you on that one? Like,
my tout
I'm betting against the guy from the Bengals. That's not like really going out on a limb.
I understand this. I will go out on this limb. There will be numerous teams that will regret that they didn't take Devontae Smith if he does slip to 15, 18, whatever, because of the size concerns, and everybody starts chirping in the offseason about what's a criticism.
Could you imagine if he drops all the way through and they sitting there for the Bucks at 32?
No, it won't last that long.
It won't last that long. Yes. But could you imagine if you put him
with this
Godwin
team?
and Evans?
Take him if you're the BGC. CERS. Yes, we love that with the Bucks. As you still see over my shoulder, I've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Super Bowl hat and the Rays World Series hat rocking. Of course, I would love that. But Devontae Smith, again, I have no allegiance to Alabama. I know I could be considered biased that I worked 3 of his games on national radio a year ago. I'm not saying that he's the greatest receiver of all time. Certainly the size thing is a legitimate point. I just see explosiveness. I see the ability to catch the football, and he is going to have a huge impact. Unless what happens that you say could happen, which is durability and injury, but that's for almost any of them. Everybody's praising Kyle Pitts in our state, and Kyle Pitts has had injury problems, and whoever ends up with Kyle Pitts could take him, and he could play a year or 2 and be injured and gone out of the NFL. That's for all of them.
He could be. I just look, and look, this is the era where you can take Devontae Smith because the hitting is not the same. Like, if you took this kid in the 90s, there's no way. There's just no way. Or even the early 2000s, there's no way he survives, right? Because the game was too physical, right? This may be the era where you can take a chance on Devontae Smith because he's not going to get hit, over the middle as much. But look, it's like Bill Parcells once said. You just talk to Anthony Becht and Parcells with the famous class of taking 4 first rounders and all these there's a reason. Parcells has always said there is a reason there are weight classes, okay, in boxing. And that's because over time, the bigger man wins. There is a reason that you take bigger, stronger people in the NFL. Over the long haul, the bigger, stronger guy wins. Okay, there are a few
I love
exceptions.
Parcells. I love you. I stick with Muhammad
I'm not
Ali.
sure I love Parcells, but
I'm saying I love, but I mean he had success. I'm with Ali. You can't hit what you can't see. So float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Let's see if that's Devontae Smith. And we spent so much time on him. His agent should send us something because we're talking him up, and he'll get talked up much more over the next month or so. Let me plug one more time for Jason Cole right here that Elway, A Relentless Life is still out. It's a great read through and through. And we should not lose sight of the fact that you cover in the book arguably two of the most critical things in the run up to the draft. He may have played baseball for the New York Yankees, and you cover that in the book. Instead, as a leverage play, he didn't play baseball. He decided to still play football. And he ends up in Denver, and you cover how he ended up in Denver, and the rest is history for his career and for winning Super Bowls. Plug away one more time for Elway, A Relentless Life. We're looking at the book on the YouTube roundtable, but plug away for the audio audience.
Yeah. If you like, this is not just a profile of a great player. It is a piece of history, as I've had a number of people tell me, about understanding how the NFL worked at the time. Like the trade, you talked about the trade to Denver and how it worked. This is a thorough, deep examination of how one of the greatest trades in the history of the league actually happened, right? And so I'm really proud of that because I got behind the scenes stuff that played out over months and months and months, right? And in fact, really over years, okay? The relationship between the then owner of the Denver Broncos, Edgar Kaiser, and the then owner of the Colts, Bobby Irsay, okay? Who's since passed, they've both since passed away. Great background. I will also plug this part of the book. If you're looking for a gift for Father's Day, okay, there is nothing greater in this book than the discussion of the relationship between Jack Elway, John Elway's father, and John. And I think it's a precious and wonderful and uplifting story that, so, you know, if you're out there, if you're looking for a Father's Day gift, this is what you do. Go buy it for your dad. If you're, you know, you can buy it for your mom too. I don't care. Or your mom can buy it for whoever, but this is a great Father's Day present as well.
Love the plug on that. And yeah, John Elway, a tremendous coach and tremendous influence in his own right there. Jack Elway with John Elway. So what a success story for Denver. And maybe Denver, speaking of the quarterbacks, will get it right at some point too. They have not ever since Elway really has been gone, and certainly have not the last few years, but that's up to them. Everybody's trying to figure it out with the draft. Love this man's insight. Again, follow him at Jason Cole. We look at that on the screen one more time on the YouTube roundtable. For those seeing us, Jason Cole 62. Check him out right there. Elway, A Relentless Life is the book. I always love getting to break it up. Chop it up with you here on the show and on the YouTube roundtable. Let's do it again whenever we get the opportunity and football comes back around. But thank you here. Love the great stuff on the NFL draft, Jason Cole.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it, TJ. Be good.